Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our Day of Democracy here at March for Science and Happy Earth Week. Again, if you're just tuning in, my name is Ingrid Paredes. I am the Satellite Director for March for Science, as well as a satellite organizer myself here in New York City, where I'm streaming to all of you today. And I'm so thrilled to be featuring satellite organizers fighting for science and justice all around the world. We just had our conversation with organizers Abigail and Jerwin from Agcom National in the Philippines, and now we're jumping continents over to Europe, where I'm graciously joined by Anna with March for Science Foundation in Poland. So thank you, Anna, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I feel great. Yeah, maybe the weather is not very sunny as it would like to be during spring, but it's a normal situation in Poland.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little chilly here in New York too. I'm like wearing a turtleneck indoors, trying to like stay a little warm. So
Yeah.
that's yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and March for Science in Poland?
Okay. So the March for Science in Poland began with Andrew Peters. He is a British citizen living in Warsaw, who heard about the International March for Science and created a Facebook group 4 years ago and made an appeal to his friends in which he called for scientists to be interested in topics uh, they're published. Yeah, almost it was scientists and our colleagues, members of the foundation, March for Science Foundation in Poland, Darek Aksamit, was also there. And the first march was organized 4 years ago and ended with a meeting of uh, 30 people at the monument of Nicholas Copernicus in Warsaw. And half of them were from outside Poland. Um, mm, there weren't any then there weren't a lot of people, but a year later we started from a completely we heard about it, yeah, and we wanted to do something more to do something to be heard from all, maybe not all the people in Poland, but to create group that will be involved in 100% to organize something good. And we started working intensively in social media. We had a lot of ideas and a story to follow. And 3 years ago, we organized the second march in Poland, mainly in Warsaw. And we already had and organized a group of people to do something more, to do the march. And that year, a group of activists and emerged who consistently implement their established plan. And we also we were very motivated to do something more. And in the next year, we organized a competition for the best educational and popular science board game, a science game jam. Yeah, I love it. Uh, by to organize some interesting events, we try to show the human face of science. We also published in the media of story of silencing scientists. We discussed the role of science in society, and we also organize a lot of events. For example, Science in the Pub, where we talk with scientists about actual problem with science in Poland and also in around the world. And 2 years ago, on May, this effort approach finally over 300 people attended to the march in Warsaw, and and the representative of scientific organization in Poland started to speak. Yeah, and all of these efforts which we get to organize to do the best for this science and willing people to take part active in science. 2 years ago, the March for Science was entered into the foundation register. And the foundation has a board responsibility for day-to-day operations and decision making. We also have a council that controls the effectiveness of activities and provides assistance. And we also, to be a foundation, now we has legal personality, so we can sign the contracts with our organization. And we also can be a partner with other institutes and other very important events to help, for example, PhD students of a lot of other.
I love it. Oh, I really want to hear more about the science board game, but I really I love the build up. I think that's such an important thing to note. Like this March for Science satellites all over the world, it really builds up from like scientists like yourself speaking up. And while the groups might not be small, it really built momentum, right? And built a conversation around bringing science out of the lab and into the streets, talking with people, even if it's just like, yeah, like at a bar or at a pub, because that really does humanize science in a way that I don't think scientists tend to think about or weren't thinking about. But I think the culture really is shifting, thanks in part to, you know, March for Science movement really catalyzing folks realizing that there is this relationship between science and society that needs to be celebrated and also pushed, right? Talking about, like you said, like what are the problems that scientists face and how can we improve this endeavor that we're all a part of and all hopefully benefiting from as we're thinking about things like climate change or the pandemic, all these solutions. What motivated you as a scientist yourself to get involved with March for Science?
I like popular. I have a problem. I like talking about science. That's something what I want to do, and what I really want to say that the main activity of our foundation is to popularize and disseminate knowledge about modern science, and to encourage representative of the science world to talk about it during this, where we got a lot of fake news in the world. That's very important for our foundation and also for me. And my adventure with the foundation began 3 years ago when I started my PhD studies, and I met one of the members of the foundation. This person, Darek Aksamit, I also mentioned about him. He organized lecture, science communication lecture for PhD students, and he also encouraged PhD students to take part in March for Science events, also to talk about science. And I decided that that's good. That sounds this event, and to talk to about science is very important. As I said, in this time, to talk about climate changes, to talk about something what scientists do in their lab. I also feel the responsibility for what I'm doing, and I love sharing this knowledge with my family, with my colleagues, with my friends. And what is also very important for me, that we create as a foundation, we create very good team. That's something. The second thing that is very important for me. Yeah, and I decided to try to involve my efforts in organization events in this foundation. Now I coordinate work of team which is involved in a science picnic. It is the very huge popularization event in Europe. And that was also very fantastic way to talk with people, with society, with people which are not involved in science. I mean that it's not science, but it's interested in science. When you is the best way. This kind of events is a very good way to make a relation with other people. I love it. Yeah,
it
and
really shows. Yeah.
yeah, and I also encourage people to take part in such of events, to talk about it. We also take part in yesterday we celebrate Earth Day, and because of that, March for Science Foundation organized 2 weeks the events that takes 2 weeks. During that, we encourage people to to take care about their nearest environment. To take care of the forest. I don't know where they find any trash they can to clean up this, something like that. And uh, mm, we also organized a workshop from science communication, critical thinking. This is something which students in school and university do not have, but we know that it's very important to difference, to be aware how to difference the truth, fake news from information in internet. All this. All my efforts gives me a lot of satisfaction, and also help me to develop my soft skills. And then I like popular science. That's something which makes me very happy.
Yeah, it honestly really shows, and it really resonates with me a lot. I'm so happy that like we were getting to know each other because, yeah, I feel like you brought up a lot of important points that really motivated me as well to join March for Science here in New York. Like one is that really like I think disconnect between the fact that as scientists we do communicate all the time. It's just like who we're communicating to is where the differences lie, right? Like if we're writing a paper or giving a talk or teaching a class, the ways of communication, I think, kind of it tends to be inaccessible, right? These papers are paywalled. It's written in this like dry language. It's meant to be impersonal, but really it's like people like us who really, really love what we're doing and are really excited to share it with our family and friends. And getting out there and talking to people is a way to really, I think someone that I spoke to yesterday had said like a low key or like very easy way to change people's relationship to science. And I think that's really what March for Science really encourages people to do is realize that science is part of everything, part of their everyday lives, and that's why we should advocate for it, right? Because then it's about if we know it's at our disposal to use to create these technologies, we can really then fight for people and fight for justice and bring science to the forefront of these decision-making conversations. And that begins, it's communication, right? It's like everything.
Yeah.
If we can't communicate together, then it's very difficult to accomplish anything. That's really awesome. Tell me more about the science picnic. So is it just like you are all like at the park and there are like scientists there hanging out?
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's something like that. It's very. It takes only 1 day in Warsaw, and to Warsaw, it's organized by a very popular and very important organization in Poland. In Poland, I forget the English name, but in Polish, it's Centrum Nauki Kopernik. You can find them. They also get, I can check it. Sorry. Can you give me a second?
And feel free. Our goal today is really to like share resources as well for folks to get involved. So if there are like links you want to drop, we'll also be sharing the social media handles for March for Science, any websites. Definitely. Yeah, I love that. That's like one good thing about doing things like online. I feel like if I forget something, I could just be like, I'm on my computer. I could just look it up.
Okay. Okay. So I see they. Okay. Yeah. It's only Polish name of this organization. Yeah. But it's very. But it's the. I think it's the most important popular. They've got very huge improve in popularization, science popularization. And we also cooperate with this organization. They also help us with organization the March of Science in Poland during in Warsaw, and to the big science picnic. It's a huge, as I said, and during this, it takes only one day, but you have to plan your efforts and what you want to show during this picnic with what I said. I see what I don't know.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I think what you're saying is that like even if it's one day, right, and it becomes this informal conversation, it takes a lot of planning and execution from the background team, which that's the other point that I wanted to really highlight. I feel like you have such a cool story where March for Science Poland started as such a small group of people that really build momentum over time. And I think that's testament to like people who really, really care about the cause, like you said, and also really care about each other. And we're putting a good event or good initiative together. That's awesome. One advice.
Was I?
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I only wanted to say about this science picnic that every year we got different topics, and this year we've got the climate changes. Very important, yeah, and we also prepare very interesting program for that. But what is very sad that we can't meet in real with people interested in science. We only create movies or popular science movies for this event.
I know, yeah. I'm really, yeah, once things are safe, to really get back in the street and like be with people talking about science.
Yeah.
We have this. This is okay for now. Yeah. What advice do you have for people or like other PhD students like yourself who want to get involved with advocacy, want to get involved with March for Science in Poland, but don't know where to start? How can they start to find information or get motivated?
What is first of all, when I started my journey with March for Science Foundation, I thought that it is group of people created only by PhD students, but it was completely different. We are huge group of people, which belongs people which work for a company which are not completely not which are not who are not connected with science, and we can communicate each other. But but it's different. Not a lot of people. I mean, not every PhD student wants to take part with to events organized by March for Science in Poland, because some of them are scared of, because it's a politics organization, so they don't want to no, thank you, but I don't. But I met lots of people that are very willing to take part in this. We've got some we've got some people that are very want to. They feel responsibility for that what happened with science in Poland. But to be honest, now we've got not sad. I think I'm sad because of the situation with science in Poland, because maybe it's not in the question which you asked me about, but currently in Poland, scientists experiencing restrictions in their scientific work by the new Minister of Science and Higher Education. The position of the Minister of Science was taken by the Catholic fundamentalist who promotes only Christian universities. And this situation is bad, and he also introduced his own scoring in scientific publications, and now W's quality publication will receive better scores than just scientific journals with valuable results. So now we need, to be honest, such as organization as March for Science and any others in Poland needs help to do something with that, because we care about science in Poland.
Yeah, thank you, Anna, for bringing up that point. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
We think that we've got a lot of work to do. We also we will be very happy if we could also organize workshop with critical thinking in school, because for 10, 20 years we could get society which do not who could get problem with fight with fake news, and I scare about it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anna. I really appreciate you bringing that up and taking the opportunity to really open up about it, because I think it is something that a lot of scientists are scared about, because it's so difficult when the amount of misinformation, like you said, is like permeated from kind of like top down. When it's like people like our government or other scientific organizations, it becomes difficult even at like as a scientist one to navigate ourselves, right? Thinking about like how are we going to publish work? What is the framework that we're doing science in? And then for people who are trying to look to scientists, look for us to trustworthy information, they want to know that that information is available to them and from sources that are credible and sources that are not trying to silence scientists, right? And that's like, goes back to like our day one chant, like, science, not silence. And that at the core is what March for Science is about. And I feel like your whole transition of like these everyday events, like getting people to care about science, is the gateway for getting people to, enjoy science, realize it's part of their lives. But really what it comes down to is, realizing that these critical thinking skills, fighting misinformation, is something that we all play a role in. And just because, like, as scientists, we have the training, I think, to see that, and that what we're hoping to do with March for Science, whether in Poland or Philippines or New York, is really give everyone the tools to be able to do that, because it does affect all of us at the end of the day. And again, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to like candidly open up about that. And that's why we're here. Not to be scared that there's us March for Science, a global network, and we're always going to be fighting for science and justice, and that's what we're all about with our satellite orgs as well.
Yes, thank you. But what I also want to say that I have an idea. Maybe we could write a letter, open letter to governments about this. That it's stupid what they do, maybe in formal words, but it could be it could be my very huge dream to realize it.
Yeah, organizing campaigns, writing petitions, something definitely all that we can do. We could definitely chat more afterwards, because our goal here today is, again, like I was saying before, not to just, and for anyone tuning in, is to, yes, highlight the works that our satellite organizations have been doing and organizations affiliated with March for Science have been doing, but also renew our satellite efforts. So we can definitely chat. But before we get there, how can people find you for March for Science Poland? Where can we find you online? That way, people who want to get involved can do so.
People who are interested with about us can find us on Facebook. We've got a fan page, Marsz dla Nauki. Fundacja Marsz dla Nauki, Marsz for Science Foundation. We are also on Instagram, on Twitter, and we've got website. But now we are we try to prepare a website in English language, because all of that, these pages which I told you, is in Poland. Polish. I started in Polish.
For our Polish friends watching, you know what to do. Yeah. And we'll definitely be sharing the links. And so that people can know where to find you in the future. But yeah, unfortunately, we're out of time. But Anne, I wanted to thank you so much again for your participation and for sharing your experiences with March for Science. It really is, I think, a testament to how much I could just feel it speaking with you, how much you really, really love what you do and love advocating for science. So looking forward to getting to know you more in the future and to hear from you again. But for now, I'll let you go. Yeah.
Keep in touch, yeah?
Yeah,
I think it's...
you have, yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.